sitting with a fairly straight posture, taking a few deep in and out breaths. We have the intention to be aware of the feelings involved in and out breathing. We breathe in, aware of the feelings at the tip of the nose, the upper lip, and aware of the feelings as the breath comes into the body, down through the chest, into the abdomen area, and aware of the feelings as the breath leaves the body, abdomen, chest, nose. Breathe deeply in, bringing fresh energy into the moment. Breathing out long, relaxing. Allowing the breath to become normal, natural breath. Still aware of the feelings of the entire body of breath, nose, chest, abdomen, abdomen, chest, nose. The use of a gentle mental recitation can help us be with the meditation object. In the Thai Forest tradition, we're often using the syllables Buddho, synonym for mindful awareness, wakefulness. Breathing in, aware of the feelings, Buddho. Breathing out, aware of the feelings, Buddho. It's good to start with the broader field of awareness, knowing the entire body of breath, nose, chest, abdomen, abdomen, chest, nose for the first couple of minutes. If you find it easier to be more consistently aware of the breath in a more localized area, either the tip of the nose, the chest, or the abdomen, you can observe the breath in that one area. Wherever it's easiest for you to be consistently aware of those feelings. For some people it's the entire area, for other people it's one of those areas. Whatever works best. But still aware of the beginning, middle and end. In-breath, beginning, middle and end of each out-breath. Breathing input, breathing out go. aware of the feelings of the natural breathing, beginning, middle and end of each in-breath, beginning, middle and end of each out-breath, aware of the spaces in between, breathing in booked, breathing out dome. I'd like to lead you in a little bit of metta practice now. We do the metta practice, we're still aware of the breath. We change the mental noting words. Before we do that, I'll just talk a little bit about metta. Loving kindness is a benevolent emotion, altruistic, wholesome. Lord Buddha describes it as one of the divine abidings, a Brahma Vihara, a pleasant abiding in the here and now. Wat Ananda recommends cultivating loving kindness as a support for developing mindfulness, something that helps us in our journey, in our process. In my experience, the best way to approach metta practice is placing the awareness in the heart area, the chest area, and at first just noticing how you feel, what emotions are there, if any. Sometimes it's just one of the hindrances, some restlessness, a bit of agitation, maybe dullness, sleepiness. Sometimes there are thought proliferations. Something might have happened during the day that upset you, the mind might be ruminating, recollecting that, might be anxious about something going on in your life, or in the world. So we just notice. And then the first thing is we just allow that to be the way it is, offering a quality of loving acceptance, giving it some space. We change the words, breathing in, mental recitation, may I be well. Breathing out, may I be happy. When we use these words, it's a gentle suggestion. It's not, you're not trying to force anything. You're trying to incline the mind, encourage the mind. Breathing in, may I be well. Breathing out, may I be happy. Metta can also be described as loving friendliness, goodwill, non-discriminating, unconditional love, altruistic love. Nice to ponder for a few moments which of those words speak to you in terms of a benevolent, warm, encouraging feeling, like a blessing. And then we try to give rise to that in the mind, first of all towards oneself, conventional self, this body and mind. Breathing in, making the wish, may I be well. Breathing out, may I be happy. Breathing in, may I be well. The warmth of loving kindness arising in the heart. Bathing the mind, spreading outwards through the chest. Breathing out, may I be happy. That word happy, we give it meaning by considering what is it that would help us be more happy. In Buddhist terms, we would normally understand that to be more mindfulness, more wisdom, more equanimity. That's what it would mean to be well and happy, more wise. Having a resilient well-being, having equipoise, patience. Breathing in, may I be well. The warmth of loving kindness arising in the heart. Breathing out, may I be happy, the loving kindness spreading through the chest and upper body, including the face. I'd like you to think of one other person now, someone you know, for whom it's easy to have feelings of metta for. Could be a parent, a teacher, a mentor, close friend. So we expand the metta citta, the heart of loving kindness, to include one other being. Breathing in, still radiating loving kindness inwardly, may I be well. Breathing out, imagining this person's face in front of you, smiling. May this person be well. May they be happy. Breathing in, may I be well, loving kindness radiating inwardly. Breathing out, may this other person be well, be happy, be safe. Let's do that for a minute or so. And just coming back to the oneself. Breathing in, may I be well. Breathing out, may I be happy. Allowing the warmth spread in the chest area. As we cultivate the metta citta, we train in including beings for whom it's easy to feel loving kindness towards, and then we include a greater number of what we might call neutral beings. We might not particularly know them very well, but when cultivating metta rather than being indifferent, we include them in our kind wishes. Maybe some of the people here tonight you know, many others you won't know. Just expand the metta citta to include everybody here. Breathing in, may I be well, loving kindness radiating inwards. Breathing out, may everybody here tonight be well, be happy. Breathing in, spreading loving kindness inwardly to this one conventional being. Breathing out, feeling everybody in the room, about 60 people. May these people be well, be happy, be safe. Just a few more breaths, training the mind to include more people, benevolent, kind wishes, goodwill, loving friendliness. Breathing in, may I be well, may I be happy. Breathing out, may everybody here be well, be happy, be safe. May they maintain well-being. Once again, coming back to the perception of just oneself. Breathing in, may I be well. Breathing out, may I be happy. Now just returning to the original meditation theme, the awareness of the breath. Aware of the feelings of the in-breath, put. Aware of the feelings of the out-breath, do. Breathing in, put. Breathing out, do. Normally after meditating for 20 or so minutes, the breath tends to become more refined, more shallow. So we have to refine the awareness, continue to be aware of those feelings. Space between tends to become longer. In my experience, if we keep the awareness in the same area, the center of the awareness, if you keep it in the same area that you're observing the breath, even in the spaces, maintaining presence of mind, and then as the breath comes in, aware of those feelings as they arise, stay for some time, cease, another space, resting in the space, staying still, staying quiet, staying centered. The out breath, aware of the feeling as it arises, space for some time ceases, another lovely space, learning to rest in that space. Aware of the in-breath put, aware of the out-breath go. That brings us to the close of the meditation. Meditating generates good karma, merit, punya. If you'd like to share the merit with somebody you know, some people you know, you can do that now.
Thank you, Ajahn. We now request for the Dhamma. The Brahma God, Sahampati, Lord of the world, with palms joined in reverence, requested a favor. Beings are here with but little dust in their eyes. Pray, teach the Dhamma out of compassion for them. Brahmachaloka Dipati Sampati Ananjaliyan Nadiwarangaya Jatma Santi kasata parajata jatika dese nama anukha imapaja.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. I want to do a little bit of market research, if I may. How many of you have come and listened to one of my talks in person before? Please raise your hand. Only about a third. Has anybody listened on YouTube or other? Yeah, another third. How many people never heard of me, never saw me, just came because I'm okay? Another third. Yeah, okay. Hi. This is my, I guess, fourth visit to Singapore, and but only on two. This is the second time that I've been teaching in Singapore. So I live in rural Thailand on a mountain, 830 meters elevation. We have about 70 acres, about 30,000 trees. I know because I supervise planting them. And we also are joining a forest reserve area. I live with about 5 or 6 other monks, 2 mechis, 2 nuns. The village where we go for alms round is about 150 houses village. So when we come down for alms round in the morning, it's normally a lovely sense of morning light and lots of birds. Very spacious view. And, quite different to Singapore. And, but Singapore's nice in a different way. When I come to a place like this, I grew up in middle class in Australia, so I'm familiar with, nice houses and nice roads and nice shopping centres. I'm familiar with these things. But I have lived in rural Thailand for 3 decades. So that's my kind of normal. And I also spend time in Bihar. I go to Bodh Gaya once a year. So get a bit of a broad spectrum of the human situation. When you come to Singapore, you get the sense that people who have cultivated quite a bit of dana barami in their past lives, most probably, living in a materially developed, quite safe, quite secure, visually quite beautiful place. And when people with certain types of merit living together, then you have things like healthcare, safe roads, and things like impressionist exhibitions from Boston at the museum, and peonies flown in from China at the flower dome. This is actually the result. These things don't come out of nothing. It's the result of certain types of merit. But I think it's also the case that when people have a materially comfortable life, there can be quite a bit of anxiety around maintaining that standard of living. And a certain amount of stress comes with, you've got to keep making the money to pay for it all. So it's, in Australia, when I go back to Australia, I notice everything's beautiful and everything's expensive. So, and I notice the villages where I live, their houses are very humble. And, but they do experience a certain amount of stress. but they're also kind of relaxed and very quick to smile. And I don't know how stressed they are actually, but they have different kind of difficulties, hard work in the sun. But your suffering is probably a bit more abstract, a bit more mental. Like, how am I going to meet my bonus? How am I going to get my bonus? How am I going to meet my target? How do I get the promotion? But to think about those kind of things. The villagers are thinking, gosh, I hope I get a good price for my crops, got to pay off some debts. But it's still the human experience. And I'm sure you've noticed that even in a materially comfortable society, in this particular age, when things change fast, and it's a time of, I would say, tremendous uncertainty, nobody really knows. I mean, where I live, it'll probably affect me less, but for you guys, do we really know how things like robotics, automated cars, AI, how that affects your life, being urban dwelling people in a high-tech city? Things are likely to change quite a bit, and we don't really know how. But even that's uncertain, because if one country sends bombs to another country, things could change rather quickly. I'm going to be politically correct and not mention any names of any country. Just mention bombs and the potential for them to be exchanged. Because that's also looking, when I try to look at not too much news, that's one of the things I want to talk about, but I look at a little bit. Enough to know that there's tension in the world geopolitically. This is normal, of course. It's one of the ways I meditate on this. Sometimes travel to China, and then I'm looking at statues and these beautiful Buddhist holy mountains, and this temple is from the Tang, and this temple is from the Song, and this temple is from the Han, and it's like, but what do you notice about that? One empire arose, stayed for some time and ceased. Another empire arose, stayed for some time and ceased. Another empire arose, stayed for some time and ceased. And normally when they cease, it's not peaceful. It's normally another empire invading. So geopolitical tension, empires changing, is normal in the human situation, unfortunately. And it's probably the case that there were many cultures where everything was kind of okay for a while, and that would have been largely dependent upon a healthy, sane, and capable king, emperor. But then the king might get elderly, sick, someone in the palace buys his position, or a neighboring kingdom seizes the opportunity, everything changes. So, of course, that's not a pleasant experience, and it does give rise to anxiety, this idea that, and it's also what's really interesting about, as a Buddhist monk, I try to find these things interesting rather than terrifying. And I totally acknowledge that on one level it's terrifying. But when you look these days geopolitically, you don't really know which way the cards would fall. The big players really decide to duke it out, We don't really know. Will China rise to supremacy? I don't know. Will America rise to supremacy? I don't know. Maybe Russia wins. I don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is that change is normal. We live in a world that Lord Buddha describes, sabbe sankhara anicca. All conditioned phenomena are impermanent, of the nature to cease, to change. And that's our bodies, that's our thoughts, that's our health, that's sometimes our economic situation, other times it's bigger things. The mode of government, who's the ruler, who gets to be rich, whose turn it is to be poor. All of that's changing all the time. But what do you do? One of the reasons I wanted to lead people in a loving kindness meditation is asking the question, what do you do to support yourself in a time of uncertainty and stress and probable change? My own intuitive sense is that in about 5 years' time, the world's going to be a very different place. And I can't tell you exactly how or what the changes were, but I don't think it's going to be the same. And part of the reason I think that is when you just look at the way money is being invested in the world. I think on the first day of Donald Trump's new administration, $1 trillion was announced to be invested into AI. That's not a small amount of money. And if you want to know, they say if you want to know what's going to happen, follow the money. A lot of money. And I think since then it's more, and then other countries have to keep up. So China spends more on AI. Russia spends more on AI. What's AI going to do? We don't know. Did anybody do a survey of you and ask you if spending trillions of dollars on AI seems like a good idea? Nobody asked me. I would have said no. I said, I'm not sure about this. It looks a bit scary. But this is part of our group karma. Maybe it'll be a good thing. What I'm saying is, I think things are going to change a lot. I don't know how. But what I wanted to talk about, the importance of loving kindness, is that this is a quality that can support us during times of stress and anxiety and significant change. The other thing I wanted to talk about was what Lord Buddha describes as Indriya Samvara. It's a very interesting phrase. The power of sense restraint. It gets marketed to us that information is a good thing. Being up to date, knowing everything about everything is a good thing. Lord Buddha is saying, restraining your senses is powerful. They're different. They don't quite gel, do they? In terms of beings who want to have some samadhi, some collectedness, some peacefulness, some inner well-being, then sense restraint is powerful, a powerful support for that. We understand that when you look at news on your device, or you hear it, or your friends talk to you about it, or someone sends you a link to something, every time you send your mind out, we don't realize we're doing that, of course, we're just looking at a screen, but actually when you're reading news about the latest thing that Donald Trump said about Greenland, and the latest thing that the Europeans said about Donald Trump talking about Greenland, and you look at that, you're actually sending your mind to Greenland, you're sending your mind to America, you're sending your mind to Europe for a moment. And then when you think Iran, no, I'm not going to mention countries, sorry, that one country might preemptively strike another country, and your mind's in the Arab states for a few moments. This isn't supporting your collectedness. This is scattering your awareness. The mind is very fast, and we don't realize it. We think it's here, but you don't realize that the mind travels at the speed of mind. And have you ever had that feeling, thinking about somebody, and a couple of seconds later they call you? You had that experience? So what's actually happened then is they've thought of you, they've sent their mind to you, you felt it on one level before they called. And then they called. So the mind literally went. And the Kribra Ajahns, who are well practiced, who have divine eye, they can see this. They can see what you're thinking about, who you're thinking about. Don't worry, I can't tell you. You don't have to be paranoid. So. Yes. I'm working on it. But if we do this, you'll notice that if you worry about the situation in the world, and you worry about the economy, and you worry about AI, and you worry about geopolitical tensions, economic uncertainty, your own future. If you do that too much, you're going to become anxious. And then anxiousness often feeds restlessness. Restlessness then becomes endless distraction. And then exhaustion. Your mind exhausts you. Your restlessness, your distraction exhausts you. So when we practice meditation, we're training in coming back to the moment and not sending the mind out into the world, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, not thinking about other situations, and just attending to that moment and letting the future take care of itself. You'll deal with it when you get there. When you meditate, you just need to take care of that moment. And this is tremendously therapeutic for mind. Just being able to, giving yourself permission, you don't have to worry about it now. Deal with it later. And what happens in the experience of inclining the mind inwards and using the breath to truly be in the present moment, because that's what breath meditation does. It's always changing by moment to moment. So as you attend to it moment by moment, you're in that moment, in your body, within the parameters of your body. That's restraining your mind from being scattered and going elsewhere, and going into the past and the future. A few things happen. The energy that's getting scattered stops being scattered, and you'll notice that there's an increase in energy, good energy. Simply by not dissipating it, good energies in the mind. And then also the mind is able to rest. So less anxiety. So when we get anxious and we get worried, the body releases some harmful chemicals. Some of those chemicals give rise, like carcinogenic, for example. They increase your chances of catching cancer. That's what your own body does to itself if it's worried and anxious. When you meditate, your body releases different chemicals and hormones. The serotonin, melatonin, things that are conducive to feeling well-being. So in terms of recommendations, what I would recommend to people for surviving this period of uncertainty and actually producing merit, Lord Buddha explained that you make merit through dana, through keeping your ethical precepts, and also through your mental cultivation. Just the act of meditating, making the mind a bit more peaceful, a bit more bright, actually produces potent merit. More. Of course, dana and sila, you don't do that only. The dana and the sila is what supports the mind to be able to become peaceful. Freedom of remorse, certain amount of merit from having been kind and generous. But when the mind does become peaceful, that produces a potent type of merit. So I recommend starting first thing in the morning. And generally I recommend a few things. If you're interested in developing samadhi, if you're interested in feeling some peacefulness and some well-being, which I'm assuming you are because you came to listen to a meditation monk, of all the things you could have done, here you are. So what I'm recommending, maybe stop looking at your device from, say, 9 p.m. Don't look at the device anymore. Or look, this light that it sends into your brain is telling your brain that it's daytime. Normally, like in the village near where I live, the villagers are all asleep by 9 o'clock. They've got to get up early in the morning and go into the fields. Very quiet. But when you live in a city with all these bright lights everywhere, you don't quite know it's nighttime. Your brain doesn't know. And you look at this, the light's telling you it's still daytime. So if you turn it off, stop distracting and entertaining yourself, or freaking yourself out, whatever you do, the doom scrolling, fear porn, or just online shopping, whatever you do, I don't know. Singaporeans are famous for shopping. Isn't Shopee from Singapore? There you go. If you can go, then you stop agitating and stimulating your mind so much at about 9. And if you can, meditate before you sleep, chant before you sleep. But I really want to recommend that people do it in the morning, because if you leave your meditation to the last thing in the day, you're going to be not very peaceful and you're going to be quite tired. So I recommend going to bed a bit earlier, getting up a bit earlier. And, at the forest monasteries of Thailand, 3 a.m. is the standard for waking up. And personally, I don't get up until 5, but I don't go to bed till midnight. We do it in shifts. I think Venerable Sampano is a 9 p.m. sleeper, 3 a.m. wake-upper. I'm a 12 p.m., 5 p.m. guy. And we do have different biorhythms. I do meditate before my arms round. I do meditate after my arms round. But I also meditate late at night. If you go to bed a bit earlier, less agitated, less distracted, you'll get a better quality of sleep. I think I've done research that every hour of sleep that you do get before midnight is better for your body. And then get up a bit earlier, and then I recommend that you put your phone in flight mode. I know it terrifies people, the idea of turning it off. You don't have to turn it off, okay? Just press that little icon with the wings, you know the one? And then just press that one, and it'll stop going ding ding, ding ding, ding dong, dong dong, right? It'll be quiet for a while. And then this is your time when you're allowing yourself to have your inward journey, okay? That's why you're putting on flight mode. You're flying inside. Don't forget, I attended his birthday last week, and he was talking about walking tudong inside his body. Like, he didn't have to walk tudong this lifetime, because he was investigating his body. He was doing a lot of interesting stuff on the inside. Then, when it is time to have your brekkie, turn it on, look at some news, but you establish some clarity, you establish a bit of a center, you establish a sense of presence of mind in your body, and then we set the intention throughout the day, I'm going to try to be mindful. This is very important. Mind is the forerunner. If you want to become more mindful of your thoughts, your speech, your actions, you have to set the intention to. And so first thing in the morning, and that's the thing, is like if Buddhist practice, if your aspiration to develop insight, samadhi, work towards liberation is sincere, and I believe it is, we should put it first. We don't leave it to last. That's a very powerful statement, isn't it? I get up in the morning, I meditate, because that's the most important thing. And then all the other stuff you do, because you've got to pay the bills and take care of the kids or take care of mum and dad, okay, you got to do it. But you take care of your mind first. When you take care of yourself properly, your mind, then you're more capable of taking care of others. The same with the metta practice. You have metta for yourself first, then you include others, more and more if possible. But we do have to start with ourselves. So then being careful with the amount of time you spend looking at news, because I don't think you need to worry that there won't be any bad news tomorrow. Think, it can wait. There's more bad news coming. And I don't think you need to worry that you won't hear about it if it's really bad. Probably someone will tell you. That's my experience, that even if I don't look at any news, if there's some big drama happening, someone will tell me about it. Someone will send you a message or a link. So maybe you don't even need to look at news. Just listen to what your friends tell you. But it's become a bit more dangerous, I think, because the polarization, the conservative, what they call conservative, and then what they call liberal, the kind of further and further apart. That's the way the algorithm kind of works. People keep getting suggested the same news, the same feed, and more extreme views get more plays, more likes, and then the algorithm suggests that to you. And people over time becoming more extreme. And then you have riots and people beating each other up and burning down cities and things. So there's dangers. These things are part of what socializes our mind now. So I think it's important to be discerning and limit it. And then the loving kindness, we set that intention every day. Because I've noticed that within my lifetime, the amount of coarse and vulgar speech and insults that you hear compared to 20 years ago, how that's kind of become normal. So, I grew up with my mum and she never swore. When she was upset, she used to go, sugar. But when, by the time her three boys became teenagers, she started to say, bloody. Bloody this and bloody that. So we degenerated her virtue. I've asked her forgiveness. But now, F-bombs everywhere, isn't it? The world has changed. But we have to try to not go with the flow of the world. This is the power of sense restraint, that we try to maintain our sense of decency, virtue, and that commitment to wishing well for oneself and others, not allowing speech to become expressing ill will. And, it's very important. And if we want to develop, it's not that people aren't doing unskillful things, it's not that there aren't bad people. And the desire to insult somebody or yell at somebody is understandable. It's not useful. And what is useful is not doing that, and actually giving rise to thoughts of loving kindness instead. Because Lord Buddha explains in the Sutra on the Benefits of Loving Kindness that people who cultivate loving kindness, their minds become peaceful easily. Among many other things. Devas, eventually, if your metta gets quite powerful, devas keep an eye on you. It says you can't be affected by poisons, sharp objects won't enter your body. You die peacefully. And you'll have a nice complexion. Many benefits. But one of the most valuable benefits is when you trained yourself at holding loving kindness in your own heart area. Suppose you've got that difficult person at work, or that difficult child, or that difficult parent, whatever it is. When that irritation is there, and you have this loving kindness, you can pick that up in the moment. You do it in the morning, but then you pick it up during the day. May I be well, may I be happy. May I be well, may I be happy. And just maintain the loving kindness. And you may have to say something, but you ask yourself, if you have mindfulness, if you have collectedness, if you have the metta citta, you ask yourself, what would be the skillful way to say something? What would be the right time to say it? Is now the right time? You can put some thought into whenever it comes into area of having to give people feedback or having to admonish somebody, having to set a boundary. And this is very important. Karma that we make with speech. And that if we do choose our words carefully and pick the time, say it skillfully, there might be true benefit for the other person. They might actually learn something. Teach them how to be firm but gentle, how to be rational, probably sometimes take you more seriously. It's easy to dismiss someone who's like just yelling at you. That person's crazy. Even if it's fair enough on one level. But if you clearly can state what your issue is, where you think the boundary should be, make a request, skillfully, assertively, then you make less bad karma, and people probably respect you more. So, a lot of value to establishing the metta, establishing the mindfulness, being determined to carry it throughout your day and all of your activities, all of your postures. And then when it comes to the end of the day, you have less remorse. When you know you've been skillful with your speech, you don't have anything to feel really bad about. You can do another session of meditation before you sleep. Your mind more likely to become peaceful, and your mind is a more easy place to sit with. It's easier to sit with it when there's not things to feel bad about, the things that you said that you wish you didn't say. Or maybe you worry. You say something unskillfully, you think, what are they going to do to me now? They plot their revenge. So a few recommendations. Try to be discerning and limited, wisely limiting your time online and your devices. Try to go to bed a bit earlier. Try to practice before you get busy throughout the day. Try to maintain that metta citta, cultivate metta as a protection, as a support for well-being, as something that will help you develop peacefulness and insight, and be a support to your growth and development towards liberation. So I offer that for your reflection. Hope something is helpful.
Dhammaya mo varakatha sadhu karang kadamase sadhu 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 adamodami.
Normally I give people opportunity to ask questions or make comments if they like.
Thanks, Ajahn, for the talk. So I think Ajahn has opened up the floor for questions. Any questions? Just raise your hand. Questions, anyone? So maybe I could just start the question. I understand that Ajahn always do a lot of meditation. So especially when you have long hours. So what was the what kind of motivation that keep you? Because as a lay person, it's sometimes like Ajahn mentioned, in the morning, I think the first thing that we kind of feel is always to solve problems, But so it's sometimes hard for us to keep consistent efforts, to kind of do meditation on a regular basis. Perhaps I am wishing some good tips.
Carrot and stick. You need carrot and stick, I think. I think the benefits of meditating, the benefit of meditating is more clarity, more peacefulness. These problems that you have to resolve, you're more likely to have better solutions, think up better solutions. You'll be more likely to be efficient with your time, better memory, better recall, all these things. Many benefits of having more mindfulness and more centeredness, more collectedness. Being able to stop your speech, in the beginning, training in right speech is quite hard, but speech does make a lot of karma. And in the beginning, you might not be able to stop yourself, but you'll be noticing, I shouldn't be saying this, I'm gossiping, I'm being nasty, I'm joining in with my colleagues, doing a bit of character assassination, we're all piling on being nasty about the boss. And there's a part of you that's like, I don't like myself when I do this. And then as you cultivate more loving kindness, more mindfulness, maybe you stop yourself, there'll be something in you that can stop halfway, pull yourself away from the gossip circle, or put the phone down, stop saying nasty comments. And then as you cultivate further, it's like you're about to say it and you can stop yourself from saying it. You hear other people saying these things and you don't join in. I've got other things to do, I'm sorry, see you tomorrow. So there's a lot of benefits to having the presence of mind and the clarity and a powerful mind. More choice, so much more choice in your life when you can actually direct your mind, restrain your mind, channel your attention in ways that you want to. So, the gifts of meditation are enormous, as well as, of course, insight and liberation eventually. Then you have to think, this is stick time, you have to think of the results of not training your mind. You'll probably end up with a chip in your brain connected to Neuralink and being controlled by satellites. And you might not have any choice anymore what you think. You think I'm joking. It's trillions of dollars are being spent on these things. We don't know how long we still have our human autonomy, our capacity to think our own thoughts and direct our own thoughts. And, you see now, I think in some respects people are already cyborgs. Look at people walking around looking at their phones. People are online a lot. And I think for the next generation that grows up with these things in their hand and they're offered, hey, you won't even have to hold the device anymore, let's just put it in your brain. And it's like, okay, cool. I won't have to charge it. The battery will never go flat. I won't have to charge it, you know. I can watch things till I go to sleep and wake up. But for those of us who grew up in a world, you know, we used to have to dial up the internet, remember? Ding, 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 ding. There was times when you were online and times when you were offline, right? Wasn't so yeah. We don't know which direction it's going, but it could go in some scary direction. And the other problems we think we have, which are small compared to what might be coming down the road, yeah, I think we better knuckle down, develop some insight into not self and weaken our attachments. It might be time to start aspiring for a heavenly rebirth. If you can't yet get, Ajahn Achalo actually recommends it. My teacher recommends that people aspire for a heavenly rebirth, because from what he sees, the direction that the world's going in, if the world's going down, you want to jump up and skip that phase, land again when things are coming up. So yeah. Practice while you still can. Okay.
I've been practicing meditation for the last couple of years. I'm still struggling to feel very much lost in my thoughts. I will admit that I'm not even meditating. 95% of the time, I don't even know that I was still. How can I improve or achieve better mindfulness?
When do you do your practice? When do you do your meditation?
I will do it twice a day. First thing in the morning.
Very good.
I woke up, as you said, right? So I do that.
Excellent.
First thing in the morning.
Happy to meet you. Rare individual.
Yeah. And I do another second time.
Okay, right, great.
Yeah. So
But part of the issue is you started later in life, so you have your lifelong habits before that. That's one issue. So sometimes we have to be a bit patient with when we've sowed other habits and other causes first. We start later, it can take longer. But there are some basic things we can do. Generally understood, I mean, if you notice that chanting is a part of most monastic traditions, Buddhist monastic traditions, and in Ajahn Chah's monastery, the monks start with a morning puja before the morning sitting, and they start with an evening puja before the evening sitting. And something about just putting our thoughts onto a wholesome subject. I think if you can't memorize it, no problem, but you're just reading those words. It's normal to do a half an hour of chanting, and then to sit.
So what I usually do is I sit first and I do a half an hour.
Yeah, so swap it around, and then see what the results are. I think you'll probably get better results.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I think part of the problem is we want to, praising the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, we want to really mean it. You know, we don't want to do it perfunctorily. We want to be in the mood. And the problem is the mind doesn't necessarily going to get in that mood. And so we just do it. In the Buddhist monastic training, we just do it. It's one of our duties. And I always find that even if I'm not into it, even now, I've been doing this for 30 years, I not always feel like chanting. But 10 minutes into it, I'm into it. Because it's like you give yourself to it. And then rapture, happiness arises. It's like 3 decades of meditation practice, I might be sitting on a seat, drinking some oolong, petting the cat. I'm quite happy. I have to go chanting. The next I get chanting. But then 5 minutes into it, yeah, the Buddha really is. I do love the Buddha. I do love the Dhamma. I do love the Sangha. Like, you have to get there and commit to it, and yeah, I do. And then sit. So yeah. And then I think if you, many people will probably find that there is a particular chant that they resonate with. So it's okay to do it in repetition as well, like sets. It's very common as well. That's a bit more samatha in approach, that you do numbers of the things that you like. So, like the Metta Sutta, you can do it in Pali and in English. like the Ratana Sutta, good in Pali and in English, contemplate the meaning. So it's like takes the mind off other thoughts. Whether we want to do it or not, whether we're into it or not, it does take the mind off other thoughts, and it's kind of beginning of kind of corralling, channeling the mind, and then it's more primed for meditation. Some people just really don't like chanting. For those people, they can do some walking meditation and listen to a Dhamma talk while they're walking. If you've got a busy, distracted life, you might need to do several things to get in the mood, to calm down. So going for a walk in the park and listening to a Dhamma talk, and then going back and sitting, getting in the body, beginning to contemplate Dhamma. Or maybe you're sitting on the public transport. It's a skillful thing to do rather than look at the advertising and the people scroll mindlessly. Do a Dhamma talk. And then when you get home, meditate, shift gears, or listen to your favorite chant with music. That's okay too. Uplift the mind. When you're sitting in public transport, those kind of things, going for a walk. Which one? Which one is that one?
An invitation of the Deva. How can I know the Deva?
What do you chant after that? Which one is that? How does it start? Okay. Do you feel any tingling on top of your head? How long does your chant take? How long does the whole session take? I would say, to be careful, but I would say most probably some devas come. That's all I can say. You have like meditation room or not? You have devas, at least Buddhist devas like the sound of chanting. And if you're living in a place where there are, there's Bhuma devas, earthbound devas. And certainly my teachers have told me that when monks chant, devas come and listen, or they come and join in as well if they know the words. So when you're chanting a Pali, and it's from texts which are 2,500 years old, many of the devas before they were born, devas know those chants. Especially if it's the Ratana Sutta, the Metta Sutta, the praises to the three jewels. So if someone else is chanting, then come and join in. So certainly my teachers have told me that they do come. And but I live in a Buddhist country. Yeah. In terms of guaranteeing that they come, do you share merit with the devas after your chant?
Follow the...
You mean, yeah. Yeah. Everybody likes free stuff. They get married to the devas, so that they probably come.
Anyone?
Encourage me. Is anyone going to follow any of my advice? Please raise your hand. Okay. Sadhu. I met one lady recently. She was 83. Said, Ajahn. Normally people are asking, Ajahn, can you be one of my teachers? lady, she said, Ajahn, I meditate every morning, every afternoon, every evening. I've been doing it for 12 years. I said, stop. Can you be my disciple? Because this is what I've been recommending for people to do for decades. And you're the first one that's doing it. I want to say I've got one at least. She said, yes, I'll be your disciple. Thank you. And she was meditating for 45 minutes 3 times a day. She says, I'm getting some peacefulness, but I haven't had any breakthrough. What should I do? She said, I'm old and I want to attain a stream entry before I die. So she's one of these ladies that was living in northeast Thailand and has met many of the disciples of Luang Por Man. She's known good monks for decades. I said, well, I want you to double your efforts. Well, I get a lot of back pain. So she said, can I sit on a chair? I said, yes. Sit on the floor for 45 minutes and then sit on the chair for 45 minutes. Come back and tell me how it goes. What do you think she said? She said, Ajahn, I'll do that. I said, good disciple. I don't want. But it's actually inspiring to meet lay people like that, you know. 12 years, 45 minutes a day, 3 times a day, 83. So I'm not going to call you old people, but are you maturing people? You have no excuses. I know one person who does it. I think that this is something we can all learn as you do. For people who are semi-retired or retired, I think many people have this experience of sitting for 40 minutes and after 10 or 15 minutes the mind becomes peaceful for 10 or 15 minutes and then it comes out of that peacefulness and there's this feeling of the meditation is over, I've done my meditation. And what people don't realize is that if you just wriggle a little bit, adjust your posture slightly, you can do it again. You don't have to go to the fridge. You don't have to order something on Grab. You can sit again. And then it's possible that the second time around the peacefulness is for half an hour and not 15 minutes. And Luang Por Piek tells people to train with that, going into the peacefulness and going in again and going in again. So it's okay to, once the mind is somewhat peaceful, and but if there are pain issues, it's okay to have a chair near where you sit. I still recommend sitting on the floor, but then when it does get painful, the mind's not peaceful, sit on the chair, continue to sit. Good training. But I'm very happy to meet someone who meditates twice a day. He chants twice a day too. No? That's it. Who else meditates twice a day? Okay, that's it. Who else is going to try to start meditating twice a day? Yes?
How do you stay, especially on the days when you struggle with thoughts or the distraction or the question? Coming from still working and busy with trying to keep up. Try to do it with the motivation to start, but it's very difficult to sustain it.
You see. Okay, carrot and stick. I ask you, on a busy day when you didn't meditate because you had too many things to do, if you were to die, where would you be reborn, do you think? You're telling me what your normal, busy, distracted mind trying to get things done. Is it human realm? Is it animal realm? Is it lower deva realm? You tell me, you know your mind. Where do you think you'd be reborn if you died on a busy day? I think if there's like anxiety, trying to get ahead, worried, could be animal realm. Like, look at the animals in the jungle, they're a bit scared and restless and anxious. And so this is we don't just do, I don't recommend to people to just do death reflection. I recommend that people do rebirth reflection. That's why, as I find it very potent. I have no doubt in rebirth myself. And so I find it a very potent thing. If ever I do get hurt or offended, or if there's an inclination to hold a grudge, I ask myself with my nasty little thought, it's okay, we die right now, we're going to be reborn. It's like a growling dog, right? Get them and get her and bite them. It's like, okay, dog growl. You know, a unruly, lustful fantasy that you know you shouldn't be thinking about. Okay, you die right now, where are you going to go? Probably dog growl as well. And if you got married, I mean, a nice fluffy dog, right? Probably take you to the pet groomer or whatever, but it is difficult to get up again from the animal realm. So they have even more ignorance and affected by instincts more. So it's, if you, when you're meditating, normally, if you've got some clarity, a little bit of tranquility, your mind is actually on the level of a deva at that time. So it's like when you make your mind deva-like in the morning, you bring that little bit of deva-like quality into your day. If you were to die, much more likely human or deva. But if you don't make the effort to establish the clarity, and the mind is running around doing things, it's not sure. So, I mean, it's all, a lot of the decisions we make are based on today, tomorrow, this week. And in Buddhist training, we train ourselves to have a bit more of a sense of cosmology and process towards liberation. And we have to, that's skillful, to have a broader perspective. How important is it in a context of a few lives? And, at least that helps me. As a monk, we are blessed because we have a kind of a social pressure in a good way. Like people feed us because they expect us to meditate. So get up and you don't meditate, you eat their food. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good. It is a big part of our job. We have to do it. For myself, I do have very, very strong faith, and I have ever since I was quite young, actually. So having faith in the practice isn't really a challenge for me. But that probably comes from past practice. So if you practice enough that you begin to really see the results of the practice, then you don't doubt the value of it. But we do need to, it's a bit like, those old-fashioned engines that people used to have to kind of keep turning to get them to, before they turn over by themselves. It's a bit like that in the beginning. Keep making the effort. I think some people can. Probably depends how much samadhi they have. I do know that some of the great masters in Thailand, even Ajahn Sumedho told me that when he used to catch a cold, he would visualize a blue light filling his body and the cold would go away. I thought to myself, I suspect he did medicine Buddha practice in the past. He didn't make that correlation. In the Tibetan tradition, they visualize themselves as a blue Buddha. And so Ajahn Sumedho told me that he visualizes his body full of blue light and his cold goes away. No, I don't have time for a cold, I can't get sick. And his illness went away. Don't tell him I told you I think he did medicine for the practice. It's just an opinion, suspicion. I do know another monk who is capable of actually finding the viruses and kind of nuking them. But he's an arahant with fourth jhana, advanced practice.
Ajahn, is it advisable if, let's say, is it advisable to go sleep first and get up and meditate, or meditate?
Yeah, I think so. The morning practice, I think, is better. For busy people, I think morning practice is better.
My job, just like travel
Right.
quite a bit, so sometimes an experience where I was meditating on the bed and sitting down, and I fell asleep sitting down.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, I was shocked. I was still sitting down. So I'm not sure. Is this normal?
Yeah, there are some people. Lopopiak again says it's better to sit even if you fall asleep because you're at least establishing the habit. But in general, I think it's good to do it in the morning after you've rested. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Direction at the top.
Okay.
I think all of us have the aspiration to become street leaders, like
So,
you said. And I think that one of the criteria is that you get to see. I think intellectually, I think we all get it.
Right.
But then experientially, I don't think anyone of us how we get there.
Yeah.
Can you just sit there and will yourself into thinking that how good experience it is going to get it?
No. But if you meditate a lot, and so it doesn't have to be an insight into not self. It can be an insight into any of the three characteristics. So it can be anicca, it can be dukkha, also pain and dukkha, and or anatta. Normally, how they experience it. A person will normally have what they call vipassana jnana before sotapanna. So there are different stages of insight, and normally how it happens is, suppose you're seeing anicca, it's not thinking about impermanence. It's mindful awareness that sees it very clearly on a deep level. See something cease, either a feeling or a thought or a breath. And then when the mind on a deeper level experiences that, there's a letting go, the feeling of self disappears, because the self is a view, and there's an experience of not self. What does that mean? There's some awareness of the body and the thoughts and feelings, but no conceiving of it as a self. There's direct seeing it with no self there. And then after that experience, the person understands, oh, it's not a theory. This is the truth. That the habitual way of perceiving and grasping the body is a habit. It's not the truth. It's perfectly possible to experience the body and the mind without a sense of self there, without a self view there. So initially it's experiences, feeling of self will come back. And then you go and tell all your friends, I had this great insight into not self. That's normal. Makes a story about it. And you try to do it again and you can't. You made all karma with self again. But it's normally the case that people have those kind of experiences on a 10-day retreat when they're doing 10 hours a day of meditation. That's, in my experience, when people are most likely to have an insight, real insight. There's not thinking about it, not trying to think yourself into liberation. And think about it until the thoughts are thoughts. And thoughts aren't wisdom, jnana, insight. So what actually happens is normally on a 10-day retreat, people are inspired. Yeah, I want to get in line. First day, keep trying. Second day, everyone looks miserable. Oh, it's harder than I remembered. all this pain, the person snores, the food's horrible, I made a mistake. Day 3, look even worse. As a teacher, it's quite hard. You open your eyes, oh God. All this, and they're angry at you, ring the bell. Say something interesting. I'm bored. And as a teacher, just pump out the metta, calm down. And keep reminding them, keep applying yourself to know the object, be with the object, be mindful. And what happens is that there's a sense of, oh, well, took up the time off, I've made a commitment, I guess I'll keep going. And it's what's actually happening is the sense of self that's going to be enlightened is being humbled. And people just surrender to, okay, I suppose I've got to do it, less self there. And they come back to the object, come back to the object, come back to the object. And it's the mindfulness that is produced by not feeding the self. Because when you're on retreat, you're not an insurance broker or a bank manager or a car salesman or whatever you people are. You're not doing that. You're just one of the yogis. And you just got to do the meditation. You're not feeding the daily self in the world, me, my job, my family, my future, my past. Come back to the breath, come back to the breath, come back to the breath. And what happens is that quality of mindfulness gets better, then it's capable of seeing a thought cease, a feeling arise and a feeling cease much more clearly, and then it can have that insight into an Ajahn. And then it experiences anatta. But it usually, in my own experience, when I've had what I would consider a good insight or a big insight, it has always been when I was meditating 8 hours a day or more. So that's what it takes to kind of go against the avijja, the ignorance in the mind, that feeds the self-view. Or the self-view that feeds the ignorance, they go together. And it's like noble silence, not talking about. Back to the meditation object, back to the meditation object, back to the meditation object. Many people have good experiences on day 7, 8, or 9. 7 and 8. Day 9, people are thinking about after the retreat already. So. Yeah. But people do get insights on retreat. One of the tremendous value of taking time to do a 8, 9, or 10-day retreat. And it's sati, samadhi, and panya working together. Yeah. So wise thoughts is a part of that. But there's a lot else there. Presence of mind, clarity.
It doesn't mean that you need 8 hours of meditation, or it's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable, 8 at least. You're telling me you want the stream intro, right? Yeah. Sadhu. And, for a bit of backing up my opinion of the disciples of Luang Por Chah in Thailand, who I love and respect, Ajahn Achalo, Luang Por Biek, Thanajan Dan, they've all said the same thing. The monks. That if you want to, I studied with each of them, and they've each said, if you want to be a monk and not make bad karma, you better be meditating 3 hours a day. Otherwise you'll be born as a buffalo. You have to make the rice that you're eating for other people. If you want to be a monk for your whole life, it better be 5 hours a day. Otherwise the kilesas are going to take you out. Mara will get you. If you want liberation, 8 hours. That's what they say. And my own experience, the best results I've had were when I was doing 8 hours. Come on, you can do it. You're Singaporean. You know how to be disciplined. No excuses.
And another follow-up question is that there's a lot of room when it comes to chanting.
Yeah.
And what happens if you don't understand the chant? It's just reciting, just a sound you're making through your throat.
Right.
Is there then still?
Is that really all that's happening? Is that really all that's happening?
I don't know.
Is that your opinion about what's happening? So when you chant these words, you're not doing other things, right? You're not thinking about other stuff. And I believe it. I mean, I'm probably more of a faith type than a wisdom type, but I have both. But I believe there's certain vibration contained in ancient words uttered by the Buddha. There's something in that. And do the devas come? Yeah, if you chant sincerely. But the other thing is familiarization. So if you want to understand the meaning, read it in English first and chant it. Read the Dhammacakka Sutta. What are the Phonabutras? What are they for? Okay, read it. Then you do that a few times. It's not that hard to know broadly what you're chanting while you're chanting it. The evening chanting, I chanted in Pali. I basically know. I never studied Pali, but I know after all these years what it means.
And just out of curiosity, and if we don't know the chant, and we chant it, will that person will join it because they don't.
Well, they know the meaning. It's like, oh, he's chanting. They can recollect the meaning while you're chanting it. Maybe some of them don't know the meaning also. Some of them do. But the chants that we do regularly, it's not that difficult to, read through it occasionally, and after some time you do know broadly what it means. But I do think the basic fact of not attending to other things, other nonsense, frivolous nonsense, or distraction, or anxiety producing, you're not doing that, right? Even that's helpful. And then if you understand the meaning, it's more helpful. And if you can bring a quality of faith to it, then it's more powerful. It takes time to practice, for training. Yeah.
Okay, I understand that you said you wanted to paint 100 paintings of lotuses.
Did already.
You did already.
When I make my vows, I keep them.
Okay, and you also said that you counted how many chants, 70,000 chants since in the China trip.
No, how many when I make a decision, how many mantras I will recite, I count them, yes.
Okay, is there certain characters in you that make you want to do such thing? Because some people seem to do better with some kind of counting.
Yeah.
Like you tell people to count a chant, episode 108 times.
Lumpur Anand recommends this. And so do I.
So is there something, certain characters in maybe some...
Yes and no. I mean, yes, there's a certain type of character that inclines towards doing that and enjoying doing that. But the reason Ajahn Achalo recommends it is he says, in the past, when you're like a farmer and you're not thinking that much, Buddha was enough. But in this day and age, when you're thinking about everything all day, you need more works. And you need to force yourself to do it to actually really be with it. And so there's different ways people can do it. You can do 36 in the morning, 36 in the afternoon, 36 in the evening. And it's like, at least, for those 15 minutes, you were really, doing a practice. But yeah, I think I probably was a Tibetan practitioner because they're the ones that do these vows to do 1 million mantras and these kind of things, 100,000 prostrations and stuff. I think that's probably where I get this habit.
So there are people who do better with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the Nyingma tradition, they start their Buddhist practice with 100,000 prostrations, 100,000 mantras, 100,000 mandala offerings. And in a way, what it's really forcing them to do is to just keep doing it until they develop the mindfulness. This skillful means that when they're doing that, they're not doing other things. Yeah.
I have a question. So in my day to day, I realized that I'm actually very judgmental of the things that I come into contact with. So sometimes when I see people or see situations and I'm being judgmental, so I make comments in my head. And I don't know how to. I know that it's not good, and I want to reduce it. So give me any advice.
Yeah, the metta practice. This quality of loving acceptance of things how they are, as well as wishing well. I think it's really important when we start the metta practice to start with that. Like, it starts with ourselves. Whatever we are, wherever it's at when we start, we do have to allow that to be just the way it is. Body of acceptance. And then incline the mind to having feelings of goodwill towards oneself. But if we do that, it sounds very simple, but if you do it every single day, at the beginning of every single meditation session, this capacity to allow things to be the way they are in moments without picking it apart and saying it should be otherwise. After a few years, it becomes something you can do. Accept things the way they are without critiquing them. There's a real relief as well, because I'm sure you know it's quite oppressive. And it goes outwards. Like if you have a lot of fault finding with others, I'm sure it's coming inwards as well. If you make karma with that, the same voice will be saying what it doesn't like about you. And that's painful. So I remember having that insight as a young monk, like a lot of fault finding, a lot of ill will towards myself. And I realized that I had to train myself to have less of that to others if I didn't want to have it coming back at me as well.